Okay, we're going to learn, or actually, we're just going to refresh because I think we've already learned how to do tax calcs. So we're going to share the screen. Just have to figure out where I put it. If I can share two at the same time. There we go. Okay, so this is the just a problem in the textbook that I just took and adjusted the numbers. You're going to have a homework problem that's similar to this, and so I'm just reminding you how to do tax calcs. And so I'm going to do it with a single rate. I think your homework just uses a single rate, and then I'm going to do it with a married filing joint rate. And so all this is the problem tells you that the client or the taxpayer has adjusted gross income of a certain amount, and they give you the standard deduction. They even give you the taxable, even though you don't need it, because if you know AGI, you see 136,000, and you know the standard deduction is 13,850, then you don't have to be told what the taxable is, And since we don't have any personal exemptions or dependent exemptions at the moment through to 2025, the only thing we have to deduct from AGI in this case is the standard deduction. They don't have a QBI that they mentioned. So we have taxable income in this scenario of 122,150 because we knew that AGI was 136 and the standard deduction is 13,850. And so we got a taxable income of 122,150. We got a single taxpayer. So we go to the tax table, which I have posted here, and we find this taxable income of 122,150. And the bracket is right here between 95,375 and 182,1. So we know we just can look at the table and see how to calculate. The table says add 16,290 plus 24% of the excess over the base of this bracket, which is 95,375. So that's what's happening right here. You can see in my formula, I've got the taxable income, C4 minus 95,375 right here, and multiplying that by 24%, which is their marginal rate, and adding the 16,290 brings me to the single tax of 22,716. And so then they ask you for three other things in the problem, and that is what is their marginal rate, what is their average rate, and what is their effective rate. Piece of cake. Marginal rate is stated right here in the table, the 24%. So no problem there. The average rate, we calculate it by taking, you see the formula there, E4 is the calc of the tax we just did, divided by C4, which is the taxable income. So average rate is nothing but the tax you calculate divided by the taxable income. 18.6% in this case. Then the effective rate is where you take the tax you just calculated in E4, which is that 22,716, and divide it by your adjusted gross income. And so that's the effective rate based on adjusted gross income, and that amounts to 16.7%. So this is just all there is to it. And so I'm just reminding you about calcs. If we were a married filing joint couple that had that same income, we could do the same calculation. If our adjusted gross income was 136, we wouldn't use this 13,850 as the standard, because for a married filing joint couple, the standard for 2023 is 27,700. Now in this table that I'm going to be giving you and posting, there's listed some of the things that were in the inside cover of the textbook. So the standard deductions listed right there, single for 2022, single for 2023, 13,850. That's what we use for our example. And then for married filing joint, the standard deduction was 25,900 in 2022 and 27,700 here. You see it in 2023. And so those will be available. So I plan to have those available for you for the test. Okay, so let's do a calc based on what the couple would owe if they earned the same amount of this individual that we had just calced. So 136,000 is the AGI, 27,700 we just determined as the standard deduction. So that brings us to a taxable income of 1083, 136,000 minus 27,700. So if taxable income's 1083, then we look at the married filing joint table now for 20. Oh man, look at this. I'm on the wrong table now. There's my 2023 table. Okay. And so I look at the 1083, the bracket for this, and it's this married filing joint is at from 89,450 to 190,750. And we're going to pay 10,294 tax, because that's the tax on the earlier brackets, plus 22% of the excess over 89,450, which is the base of our current bracket. So we're going to take, to get the tax, we're going to take the taxable income of 1083, and you see my formula here. Subtract from that the base of this bracket, 89,450, because that tax is already calculated. The earlier rates all the way up to 89,450 is taxed, and the total tax was 10,294. And then we're going to add the tax that exceeds 89,450 at 22%. And so that's this calculation. 108,300 minus 89. Just give me a little bit more width. Minus the 89,450, multiplied times 22%, and add that to the 10,294. So that's just this bracket right here for married filing joint. If the taxable income falls between 89,450 and 190,750, then you take 10,294 tax plus 22% of the excess of 89,450. That's exactly what we just did. So then they could ask, probably I will ask on the test, marginal tax rate, what is it? Well, it's right there in the tax table, 22%. It's what we just used. Then the average tax rate, again, just take the tax you just calculated and divide it by your taxable income. 14,441 divided by 1083 will bring you to this 13.3%. And then for the effective tax rate, you take your taxable income you just calculated and you divide it by your adjusted gross income. Gotta get rid of a little of this width so I can see it. There. 10.6 is the effective rate, because that is 14,441 divided by 136,000. And that is just your refresher on calculating tax. On the test, you should be able to do these with no problem, even no matter what piece of it I ask you to do. No matter what the AGI is, you should be able to do these, even if it were married filing joint, married single, married filing separate, or qualifying widower, which or head of household. Qualifying widower is just still married filing joint. But head of household, married filing separately, they're still right there. I'll just only use the single and the married filing joint in this example. So you good. I know you know how to do this.